Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's featured Reddit stories are from IDon'tWorkHereLady. Story 1 is by Ain Lynn Trilly. I work next door, not here. This happened about a week ago and I still think about it because of how absurd this lady was. Also my first time, haha. So I work in a tech store that is on the first floor of a shopping center. My store's uniform is full black. Black bulky cargo pants with the store's entire name in bright blue on the leg, and black sweater with the store's name and large text on the back, over the chest and down the right arm. The sweater is also made from the usual hoodie material. Very comfy. Right next door to the store there is a grocery store. It is themed after the kiwi fruit, so its colors are neon and bright green. The store itself from the outside and the employee uniform there are all green. Their sweaters are made of fleece. So here comes the day. I've left my store to go quickly to buy some food for my break, so I go to the grocery store. As I'm looking at different sandwiches, trying to decide which one I want, I hear this, ahem, ahem, ahem. I obviously don't turn around because I'm in full uniform for my store, so obviously whatever it is happening isn't directed at me until I get a hand on my shoulder that physically drags me back. I'm obviously startled by this and go, "What is wrong with you? Why did you do that?" While looking at her, and then she basically hisses at me and says, "Who do you think you are, ignoring a customer? Now show me where the dairy-free section is." I look at her for a good while without responding, and that apparently made her angrier because she went, "Well, aren't you going to do your job? Show it to me." At this point, I'm fed up, but still in work mode, so I smile and say, "Ma'am, I'm afraid I don't know where the dairy-free stuff is. I don't work here. You could ask one of them instead." I then point to one of the actual employees there in their neon green fleece jackets. This was apparently the wrong thing to do because she got really huffy and went, "You helped find my son's headset in the store, so you obviously work here. Now show me the dairy-free." At that point, she was yelling and had me standing back against the fridge with the sandwiches. Luckily for me, a security guard came up to her and told her to back off, stop yelling, and leave me alone. I took my chance and grabbed a sandwich and ran off further into the store where an employee asked me if it was all right. She helped me find some more stuff I was looking for. I paid and promptly ran away to my store's break room to hide. My supervisor saw it too and gave me an extra 15 minutes for my break. I was pretty rattled when it happened, but now it's just funny to me. OP, you encountered one of the people that thinks that we're still in peasant mode and you're there to serve her. She's royalty. She's the queen and you're her servant and you must serve her now. You encountered one of those types of Karens. She obviously remembers you serving her at a store. She doesn't remember clearly enough that it was the store next door and not this one. There was a really funny and really short comment I wanted to share by Teton2775. You could have said, "Sure, come on over to my store. Since it's all tech, it's all dairy-free." This is one of those things where in the moment you wish you could come up with saying something like this and you only think about it after the fact. I think that Meg Ryan in You've Got Mail said it best when she said you wanted to zing them in the moment and when you do, it doesn't feel so good. Our next story is by Mystica2000. Got in trouble for shopping at Joann's instead of manning the register. I was at Joann's with my 2 daughters looking at fuzzy cabin socks on sale for Christmas. I was wearing a sweater and jeans, nothing that would indicate I worked there. A lady was standing at the checkout counter and looked over at me, so I smiled politely and she smiled back. I went back to minding my own business, looking at the socks the girls wanted, and noticed the woman at the counter was still staring. Feeling uncomfortable and hoping she was just looking at the items near me, I looked at her and made a joke about stocking up during the sale. She responded, "I guess that's why no one is here at the counter working," a bit sarcastically. I figured she was joking, so I nodded and gave a polite laugh. That's when she walked over to me in a bit of a huff. At the same time, 2 Joann employees walked by us heading to the register. She looked at me and said, "Oh, you don't work here," and walked to the counter. It made me wonder if I just avoided a butt chewing. Am I the only one that's a little surprised that Joann Fabrics is still a thing? I remember when I was growing up, there was a Joann Fabrics that I loved going to for like hobby and craft supply store. It was in the town near me, and I'm actually surprised to hear that it's still in business after all these years. One thing I do remember about Joann employees is they always had green aprons on. So you really can't get someone who's not dressed in a green apron and has 2 kids in tow mixed up with the actual employees. Our next story is by Weena Jade, 16. Lady, I'm not even British. Many moons ago, I was singing in England with my cathedral church choir. We were lucky enough to be singing in the chapel at Windsor Castle. It was pretty fantastic. While we were there, we were staying at a lovely hotel that had a fairly posh breakfast setup. The members of the choir were wearing polo shirts with our cathedral crest on them, as that is what allowed us access to non-public areas in the chapel. It was a uniform adjacent, I suppose. I was waiting for my breakfast at the hot food station when a lady tried to catch my eye. I, being a polite Canadian choir kid, smiled and nodded, brought my food to my table but realized I had forgotten something. As I passed her, the woman grabbed my arm and said, "Well, are you going to take my order?" I replied, "I'd be delighted to, but I don't work here, and it's self-serve. The lovely cook behind the line will help you out." Maybe it was my lack of British accent, but she did not like what I had to say. She started to ask again, but I quickly sat down and started eating. I guess I just have a face made for customer service. Are you sure, OP, that you're not British? You called the breakfast setup posh. Who does that except for British people? I've never heard a Canadian use the word posh before. Not once, not ever. Maybe it's more of an East Coast thing. Maybe they do say it over there. A fairly posh breakfast setup. Our next story is by Rosie Bug. Mistaken for a Delta flight attendant. On my last Delta flight, I was running late to my gate, and I'm a must-pee before flight kind of person. So my game plan was to hurry to the back of the plane after boarding to quickly go before takeoff. I get to my seat, drop my stuff off, and make my way to the back of the plane. Now, I wanted to be comfy on my flight, so I'm wearing a maroon turtleneck and a blue cardigan with stars on the front. Taylor Swift's Midnight Cardigan, for those who know. As I'm making my way down the aisle, a man sticks out his arm with an empty plastic bottle in front of me and goes, "Can you throw this away for me?" My brain stops for a moment and I pause because what an odd thing to ask a random person, but I slowly grab the water bottle from his hand. Now he looks confused because I look confused, and it dawns on me that he thinks I'm a flight attendant. My brain still isn't working, but I manage "I don't work here. Here is in the plane?" Not sure what I was saying. Then he just goes, "Oh," and doesn't offer to take the water bottle back? And I felt too awkward to hand it back, so I just walked this man's trash to the back and disposed of it. Moral of the story, don't wear red and blue on a Delta flight if you don't want to be on trash duty. Maybe this guy didn't even think you worked there. He just wanted somebody to throw it away for him. Regardless, it's really odd that he just says, "Oh," and then doesn't say, "I'm sorry," and take it back from you. Or at the very least, when you throw the trash away for him when you're coming back, he should say, "Thank you so much. I'm really sorry about that." He should be a little embarrassed. I think some people are just programmed to not be embarrassed when they do something stupid. In that situation, I wouldn't have taken it from him to begin with. I would have said, "I don't work here." Or if I had taken it to him and he said, "Oh," I would have put it on his lap and said, "You'll have to handle that yourself." Our last story today is by Beastly Mule 57. 2 for 1. 2 stories here. First one, I'm a private bartender. At an event I was working, a guest accidentally spilled a glass of wine into my ice chest, so I had to make a run to a nearby supermarket to restock. I run in, grab a couple bags of ice, I'm wheeling my cart around to the register, and a man comes up to me, jiggles a box of candy in front of me, points at an empty shelf, and asks if I'm going to check to see if I have more in the back. I'm wearing suit pants, a black button-up vest, tie, and dress shoes at a store where the uniform is a gray polo with dark jeans. I ask him if it looks like I work here, and he gestures at my outfit like I'm the dumb one here. I told him, "Actually, yes, I think we do. Wait right here and I'll grab some. Stay here, don't make me look for you." Then left. I also frequent a store where the uniform is jeans and a Hawaiian shirt. This is basically what I wear on the daily, and while I do get mistaken for an employee when I shop there, I'd say it's a lot more reasonable. One time, however, I saw another guy wearing the same thing as me and said to him, "Pretty dangerous wearing that here. I get mistaken for an employee a lot when I shop." He looks at me, realizes we're wearing the exact same outfit. We have a laugh about it and chat for a bit. A store manager comes up behind us and says, "Do you two need something to do, or are you just going to talk all shift?" The guy and I absolutely lost it laughing, and she very quickly realized the mistake and apologized profusely. Now, that's a new one. I've never encountered a story where a manager doesn't know that these people don't work there. That's a first for me. That's pretty crazy. As a manager, you really should know people who work for you. Our stories for today have come to a close. If you enjoy this content, please click like or subscribe, or leave a comment below. Each of these things helps my channel reach more people in the YouTube algorithm. Until we meet again, have a glorious day.